every story has someone we are talking about, someone we are following, someone we are cheering on to achieve their goals. No matter what that story exemplifies, there is one person or a group of people that would play it out. And that is what we call the character. There is a central character in a story, the main character, in fact, the nucleus of characters in the story, who is pursuing a particular goal. And that is what we call the protagonist. And now there is another person who is the villain of a story, who is the person that is the major obstacle to the protagonist achieving their goal. Now, it is very good to note that this thing or this thing, yes, this thing may be a living thing or a non-living thing, and it is the antagonist. It can be a non-living thing. Let's think, for instance, that a protagonist, you're writing a story of a protagonist crossing a desert. Now, what are the things that he will encounter in that desert? The desert storm, heat, all those things are actually part of the things that will mitigate him from achieving his goal. So, yes, an antagonist can be a living thing, it can be an animal, it can be a person, it can be a non-living thing. And now there is a character that is like a close companion to the protagonist. It can be a sage, it can be a mentor who the protagonist listens to. It can be the mother of the protagonist, just somebody that the protagonist comes to for clarification once in a while. That is what we call the deuteragonist. And we also have a character who is just like the protagonist, but with contrasting values. Now we have the stock characters. What or who is the stock characters? Let me go with the who question so that it will like be very practical in your mind. Let's take, for instance, in a movie and you see a babalawo. The babalawo plays the role of a babalawo in real life. Like, there is nothing he's not there as, if you see a police officer on the road in a movie, that is just exact same thing that the police officer does in in the real life. So I'm talking about Nigeria, please. So that is just what a stock character means. And we also have flat characters. Flat characters is as in they have this particular role. It's just like the stock character. Now, but the difference between the stock character and the flat character is such that for the stock character, you meet them just once in a film, just once in a movie. Okay, probably you need maybe the protagonist needs clarification and they want to go the spiritual African traditional religious route, and they say, okay, let's do this. Then you now go to that stock character and he does it. But if that stock character, pushes the story forward, if his or her presence in that story moves the story forward, it makes the person the flat character. It's just like in Gangs of Lagos, you see the characters there and they had their own team. Those Agbero guys, they behave like Agbero in real life. They are stock characters of Agbero, but because their presence in that story moved the story forward. So you see them in several scenes. So a character can be, as in a type of character, somebody can be more than one types of characters in a movie. Lastly, we have the round characters. Round characters are characters that actually amplify a trait of the protagonist. Let's take, for instance, you define the protagonist as a mother. If the person is a mother, then the protagonist would definitely have a child in that movie. Then if you're on a budget, it would be in dialogues. You understand? So those are round characters. Let's take, for instance, the protagonist is somebody on a wheelchair and has one person that comes to push the person, to push him or her around. That person is a round character. It amplifies the traits of the protagonist. Now let's quickly say this. It is very good when you write your character based on real life personalities. You're writing them based on people you know, people you relate to. Because one thing about story writers, you are more adept in writing what you have experienced. What you have experienced may not be like personal to you, but something you've observed closely. You're more adept in writing it. So when you're writing your characters, yes, we want it to be as real life as possible, but do not write about somebody without their permission. That is why you have caveats in some stories. They will tell you, no part of this story is purely fiction. No part of this story is about anybody living or dead or anything. It's purely fiction. Whereas it may not be entirely true, but writing about somebody without their permission and without every contractual things that have been laid down is actually identity theft, and the person can sue, and you can go in for it. So it is very good for us to just know that, okay, we are writing real life characters, we are writing our observations, our experiences, but make it, ensure that you're not writing about real people. Just remove something, remove their names, remove their, if it's their physical traits, change it. Just make sure that it does not coincide with anybody that is related to you or that you know in person. The person knows you and know what you do, that you are a storyteller. It is important to note that you, as the blueprint setter, you know the story you're writing, you know how many characters you want in your story. And as you write and revise whatever you're writing, you make your revisions, you know, okay, I'm removing this character, I'm introducing this character. And sometimes when you're writing for somebody and they have a friend that they've already promised a role, they can tell you, okay, add it. You understand? So just have that at the back of your mind. This is the industry that you're in, and you just, as long as the person is paying you, just do what they want. Now, how do you build your characters? How do you populate your character sheets? Or how do you build a character Bible? Yes, that is what it's called. Now, the first thing you do or you have to do is to look at your story and know if probably the age of the character moves your story forward. Take, for instance, you're writing a story about teenagers or young adults. You have to like put it there. You have to like, okay, Bimpe, teenager or 17, 15, you have to put it there. There are a lot of stories that you would have seen in those sites that I gave out. You would have seen them and seen that, okay, some had the age range of the protagonist, some does not. So if you need the age range of your protagonist and you know that it moves the story forward, please include it. And it doesn't have to be only your protagonist, all the characters in your story, include it. Now, the physical traits. Do you want, is it a story that exemplifies a kind of physical traits? Do you want your, are you writing a story about somebody that is probably, that has some kind of disability? You have to include it. You have to include it because it moves your story forward. Because as you write your dialogues, as you write your descriptions, as you write your actions, you have to put it, you have to put it into, you have to take cognizance of the fact that yes, the physical trait of that character moves your story forward. Now, what kind of relationship does the character have? Is the character married? Does the character have siblings? Does the character have children? Is the character queer? Those kind of things, you have to like write it. Me, I used to take a paper, I used to take all these A4 papers and write my characters one after the other. One after, yes, because I love writing. I love it a lot. So you can use your laptop, you can use your phone to write, to populate your character Bible or your character sheet. Write it for all your characters. What kind of relationship does the character have? What is the character's likes and dislikes? What kind of beliefs does the character have? What kind of morality? What kind of ethical standing does the character have? You just have to include it in the story. What are the flaws of your character? What are the struggles of your character? What are the conflicts? What is the internal conflict of the character? What is the temperament of the character like? You know, there is something that we newbies actually we do. We be like, okay, protagonist is a good guy, antagonist is a bad guy. Yes, like basically to help you to like know how to portion your story. It is very good, yes. But sometimes, even when you're writing a protagonist, sometimes make them flawed, make them relatable. Because in real life, people are not like 100% nice, 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 100% oh, good, good, good. No, make your protagonist flawed, make them well rounded, make them more relatable, make them more real life. As in, let people be able to identify with them, make them flawed, make them vulnerable. If your character has anger, maybe the temperament, he has an anger temperament, what do? You include it in the story, you include it in the dialogue, you use it to move the story forward. Let it be that even that his internal conflict is what will stop him at a point from getting what he's pursuing. Let it be that, okay, probably he goes to his mentor, he said the deuteragonist, and the person is advising him or her, no, 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 because he has anger issues. You understand? That is a flaw that you can explore in a story. Probably the person loves too much. Probably the person does not even use their head once they are in love. They are so, or probably the person, once he has money, doesn't regard anybody. Just make your character vulnerable, make your character a well-rounded, relatable, real life character. Then give your character a motive. Let your character have what they like. Probably your character chews gum a lot. Probably your character loves sports. Yes, a woman can love sports. And in the story, she has some sports souvenirs or memorabilia or jerseys or something that will indicate that when someone that is watching sees a particular room, they will look, okay, your character is coming here, your character is related to the, just give your character motif throughout the story. Give your character motif. Probably your character likes a particular kind of food, beans. Your character eats beans at not like every point of the story, but you just know that even if it is 3 or 4 points that the person eats, that will be parts of their of their meal. It helps you push your story forward. You don't even start thinking too much about, hey, this scene, oh, what will I do on this scene? What will I do? No, it removes. See, and you see this thing that we are talking about, this character Bible or character sheets population. Eh? It helps you eliminate writer's block, like 85%. It helps you eliminate writer's block to 85%. It has 0.85 probability of reducing your writer's block. So if your writer's block has reduced 85%, what is that 15% that you cannot handle? You understand? So just give your character a motif throughout the story. If your character loves singing, give your character a motif, because you can now incorporate that motif into something that somebody may want to use against the person to be an obstacle to her not, or him or her not achieving their goal. So you see that it just eliminates writer's block like a whole lot of percentage. Yes. And also give your character a history, give your character a backstory. Nobody was dug from the ground. Nobody just came out from a mango tree and you say, okay, this is human being. Give your character an ethnicity, give your character a background, give your character a history, probably relationship history, probably family history, probably religious history. Just give your character a history, and you see that that history that you're giving your character, it will push your story forward. It will definitely push your story forward. And there's what is called a circle of being. What is a circle of being? It is an event that changes the course of a character's life. It is an event where from where we start the inciting incidents. So having a character Bible, having a character sheet, knowing the kind of temperament you want for your character, knowing the history, knowing the motive, knowing the backstory of the character will make you, after you write the 10 pages, you just go into every character, every trait that you've already written down for your character. You just go into it. You can make the character, let it be that, oh, the character doesn't he doesn't want to show his real color, his probably a very angry person, or is probably a very physically violent person and everything, then something would incite him to bring out that trait in him. So you see why you need this character Bible. You just need it. It makes you are very flexible with your story. You are on course with your story. You avoid cliches. It helps you to avoid cliches even when you're writing your dialogues. Yes. Now, okay, let's take for instance, you are writing and something comes up and you cannot continue with that story. Not that you can't continue, but you just need somebody to write, to just complete the story for you, or somebody, probably the people that has asked you to write, they are like on your neck and they've given you a timeline. You're working on a timeline. It will be easy for somebody to come on that story and collaborate with you. Probably it's a web series of 50 episodes. Once the person takes your character Bible, it will be very easy to collaborate with you. So please, I know that it's now becoming like a formulaic thing. I know that a lot of you just wanted to like see, okay, no, just show us the format of a story, the elements of a screenplay and everything. Yes, we'll come into that, but you really need to have a good and strong knowledge of this, so that when you start writing, it will be very, very smooth. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because you will sit for long hours, you will have back pain, you will take lots of water, you will think, you will research, you will do everything, but just believe me, it will be smooth. You just have a direction. You are not coming to rack your head again. If you want to research, probably you give your character a history. You just research, okay, Ogoni people, what are they? What do they like? What kind of language do they use? How do they? You just know. You understand? You know. So please, please, and please, this character Bible is of essence. It's of very good importance. Try, just go over this video again. Go over this class again, if you must, and master it. Write it down, master it. And now, for those ideas that we've already given, you've already like brought out 3 ideas. You've written your MDQ for those ideas. You know the characters you want to use. Very good. Can you also just go ahead to populate a character sheet, to build a character Bible for your characters in that story? And I would see you in the next class for log lines, synopsis, and treatments.